Hey, the streamer.
Hey, Dio, what's up?
Hey, hey, I really want to talk about this because this is such an important factor for me, for my childhood, probably yours as well, that we Japanese robots or like media about robots
Yeah.
versus Western robots in the media.
Oh yeah.
As in, if I think about Japanese robots, they're always friendly, they're your mates, they're convenient, they are cool to use,
Yep.
they're badass, everything. I'm thinking about Metabots, I'm thinking about Gundams, I'm thinking about,
Yeah.
well, the Transformers.
Yeah. Transformers. Yeah. Astro Boy. You know.
Oh, yeah, Astro Boy.
I mean, you name it. It's all these. Tetsujin 28. It's all these
Oh, yeah.
very positive. Portrayals of robots in Japanese media. But then, and it's all really
Yeah.
fun and great. It's like, yeah, it's great. Even like the robot in that anime Gargantia, which I think is one of the best portrayals of robots in anime. Too bad the anime itself wasn't very popular, but that one was really good as well. Very
Right.
philosophical anime, by the way, about like technologies and how it
Yeah.
affects humans in the long run and that kind of stuff. And it's like
But yeah,
insane. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
speaking about the philosophies in robots and technology, which is our soul, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I one time I remember this conversation with you that you were talking about a person who who wrote a book about philosophy and the difference where this love for robots come from, like
Yeah.
in Japan versus like um, we can make the comparison with the Western world that okay mostly is based on Christianity.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the Western media is always like Doom, well, yeah, Terminator, iRobot, scary stuff. But
Yeah.
in Japan, it's yeah, your best friend.
Yeah.
Remember, you mentioned something about it has to do with Shintoism.
Yes. There is a Shintoism is like an animism religion. So that means that there's like nature worship and like there's like nature gods and that kind of stuff. Um, and it's pretty much the main religion in Japan, and like it informs a lot of their beliefs, just like Christianity informs a lot of Western beliefs. Um, Shintoism does that in Japan, and the thing is with both Christianity and Shintoism is that they're so culturally important that even non-religious people are influenced by those religions in their respective regions. So if you're an atheist in the Netherlands, where we're from, for example, a lot of your ideas will be influenced heavily by Christian beliefs. If you're like an atheist or whatever in Japan, your ideas will be influenced by Shintoism, and we see that in the media as well. Because there's this in Shintoism, it's like, for example, I've read a lot of stuff, and in Shintoism, there's this idea that like when an object reaches 100 years old, it gains a soul. I've seen that. I've seen that spoken a lot of times. So now you already
Whoa.
start getting into the idea of that the object is not really just an object. You know what I mean? It's not just a thing. So you start getting into those kinds of philosophical ideas about what is alive or not, that kind of stuff. I mean, that also explains why, like, for example, in Shintoism, there's like a god for almost everything, or at least a spirit, but also a god for at least anything you can imagine. If you like, for example, which anime was that? There was some time ago, not Hozuki. Hozuki no Reitetsu is one anime, but that deals more about the Japanese hell. But there was this other anime, I forgot the name, but it dealt with what do you call it? With with Japanese, you know, culture and stuff like that. There was a controversial episode in the anime where the battleship Yamato gained a soul and came back because it was 100 years old, and it sailed back to Japan. It was like welcomed back to Japan. With this whole thing. That was like an episode. It was kind of controversial outside of Japan. Personally, it's like people want to do their things with their war dead. I don't care. Let them do whatever. But that was a thing. That's like that episode was like probably one of the first like uh moments where like a lot of anime fans realize that Shintoism stuff is really like is a really Japanese culture thing. So it's like that was like because it was a really weird because in that anime they also had like the god of CDs, like compact disc. Like it's pretty wild. I forgot the name of the show. I may look it up when I put it up on the screen so you can see. Check it out. But yeah, that's like there's a lot of that stuff in Japan. So for a long time, Japan was the number one robot producing country in the world. I think China may have surpassed them in the last few years, but like in the last 50, 70 years, whatever, or maybe maybe a bit longer. But anyways, but in the last 50 years at least, Japan was like number one producer of robotics in the world and like industrial robots and that kind of stuff. And they always had a thing with robots, always. And like we just said, you saw it in the media. Robots are always. I mean, they've had evil robots, sure, but as the point of discussion in this episode, the as opposed to the West, which almost exclusively has evil robots that want to destroy us in some kind of way. Um, it's really jarring when you see the two differences.
Yeah. So where does this come from? Do you have information on that? On where this love for robotics, humanoid robots come from in Japan?
Yeah. Well, there's been a few articles on it that I've read, and it's they talk about a lot of that, the existence of spirits, and how Japanese culture believes in the natural phenomena have spirits, and they apply it to all kinds of things, and not just the moon and the sun or whatever, but also just things and tools as well. Like we just said, any tools like a hammer or whatever, it gains it gains a spirit, and um, it has to do with like rinri. Rinri is like the Japanese ethics, and it's about achieving harmony in human relationships and stuff like that, and also with natural phenomena. So not just harmony with humans, but with nature itself. And part of you know um, part of that is also that they want to have harmony and relationship with technology as well, because they see it as an interconnected part of nature as well. So there's a lot of that kind of idea going around in Japan, even if they don't like outright believe in like some kind of Shinto thing, because Japanese Shintoism is so ingrained that these days it's just culture. It's not really religion, because most Japanese people don't really believe in gods or anything like that. It's more religion. I mean, sorry, it's more culture than religion these days. You know, so it's like there's a lot of this talk about it being connected to the Rinri and the nature, harmony with nature and harmony with the universe kind of stuff. So that's a part of this equation that the West misses. They don't really have that. Um, because if we're talking about religious influences of in your cultural beliefs on these types of topics, the Bible explicitly forbids people from creating idols, creating things. But when Moses went up to the mountain to receive the tablets from God, um, he left his people at the base of the mountain. But the mountain was so tall, it took him a while to get up there. But then when he came back down with the tablets in hand, there was a whole scene up there at the mountain. It took him so long that his people kind of lost faith or something like that. They thought they were abandoned or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then they started they because they thought that they were abandoned, they created this golden calf. They melted a bunch of gold they had or something like that, and then they made a golden calf, and they started worshiping the golden calf as a god. But that's like one of the commandments in the tablet. I think maybe the first or the second. I know. I mean, I haven't had. I grew up Catholic, but I'm a complete atheist these days. But I haven't read this in a while. But that's literally one of the rules, one of the 10 commandments. Don't worship an idol or something like that, or don't worship an image instead of me or something like that. I mean, I could look it up, but whatever. So Moses got really mad at them, and he started beating them up. I think he even killed a few. I'm not sure. It was this whole thing, and destroyed the calf and blah 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 blah. So you see, like in the already, like literally the 10 commandments already states it. Don't make graven images of the god, and they started worshiping a calf. That was immediately punished. You see that idea because you have the Quran as well has also has the commandments as a basis in these stories as well. Moses is also in there. Abraham is also in there. These stories are also in that book, and they even take it even further where you can't even depict, because like in Christianity they kind of softened up on that part. You can depict the gods, you can depict things, but in Islam, you can't even depict any god or anything like that. That kind of stuff. But I mean, this is all about like the prophets and the gods and all that stuff. But that idea of making like a copy of a being or whatever is ingrained in the society. And then that's why you get like in every single media where they make life or a thing in the image of a man, which is hilarious, by the way, because I think this is my own idea about it. Because to roll back a bit, the Bible says that man was created in God's image. Okay, you're not allowed to worship a graven image of God. So you can't make an image of God and worship it. But if man was made in God's image, that means man's image is the image of God. So you can't make an image of man. You know what I mean? Because you're making an image of God. You understand? So if you like, so that there's this step there where you're not allowed to make an image of man. But a painting for Christianity, a painting is fine, but as soon as it starts moving, it's like it gains a soul, which is then you're making an image of God, because God is the only one who can give. God gave the soul to man. He breathed the breath. He breathed the soul into man. Something like that. It's the breath of life. Something like that. That's the sentence approximately in the Bible. And that's then where you start to blaspheme against God, because you're making an image of God. You're breathing life into the thing, and now you're a blasphemer. That's the mental steps that you take in this kind of thing. And even if they don't believe in God or Christianity, even if they're atheists, this cultural aspect is still in the thing. And that's why you see, like, the very first story that I know about, the oldest one that I know about that deals exactly with this is Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster, Dr. Frankenstein was like, he wanted to make life, blah, blah, oh, it's alive, all that stuff. And then it it's basically a modern robot story. Basically, every story about robots is Frankenstein's monster. They're all like amazing. It's alive. I can't believe it. And then the robot turns and start killing everybody. You know
Yeah,
that shit. It's
but
literally the
it's
same.
that so the fact that they always kill like their creator and
Yeah,
like are planning to destroy the world or to destroy
yeah.
humanity. Is this if I think about Christianity, is this like really like way to portray, or like they got inspired by the fact about Judgment Day from the Bible?
Possibly, uh, possibly Judgment Day is something a bit different. But possibly, but I think personally, I think it's more inspired by just by the devil, and that only God could create uh, things with souls, and the devil corrupts them. That's that idea is also in the Lord of the Rings, by the way, because Tolkien was a devout Catholic, and the idea that evil doesn't create but corrupts is also part of an important philosophical idea in the Lord of the Rings. But that idea is so, and they see creation of something in the image of God as a corruption. So the work of the devil, and the devil always destroys. So you will always get destroyed by your creation if you try this, because the devil works through your creation to destroy what you or whatever.
So you're so if you decide to have kids, it's your creation.
Well, yeah.
They will destroy you.
No, well, no, because that is something else. That is the duty of humans is to spread and
Oh
multiply.
right, right.
That is the God given right and duty of all humans: spread and multiply. Yeah. So you know, yeah. But that's like the difference. So you see how both religions uh have a completely different idea on similar subjects. You know, there's Shintoism is very animistic, and there's not really. I mean, they have Amaterasu as like the creator of Japan. This is a distinction. I'm not. I don't think Amaterasu created the world. I think Amaterasu only created Japan, and she didn't even create Hokkaido either, because Hokkaido was not part of Japan at the time of the writing of the creation story of Japan. So Hokkaido was not created by Amaterasu. You know, that's funny. It's funny
Right.
stuff, because Hokkaido was conquered like in the 1800s, I think. I think 1800s, maybe 1700s, but whatever. That's something else. But so what you have here is a complete disconnect in the religions. They cover the same subject in a completely different manner. In Japan, the sure Amaterasu created the islands, but I think after that, nature just took its course. There is no like, oh, Amaterasu made this like in the Bible. The God made literally every freaking animal on the planet. Everything was made. Everything was created. Everything. Amaterasu, as far as I know, only created Japan, and like nature just started popping up, so it's very like nature runs its course, nature does whatever, so there's no morality attached to the creation of life or any of that stuff. There's no like, oh, you can't do this because it goes against the will of Amaterasu. I mean, there are such things. So like you have to protect nature. That is a very Shintoistic thing. You protect, but that's like nature as a whole. But it's not. They're not talking about like, oh, you're gonna be punished because you made an image of whatever. Because I mean, the Buddha, for example, this is like Buddhism, but still, it's kind of similar. They have images of Buddha all over the place. But of course, the Catholics have images of Christ all over the place. Blah blah blah. That's fine. But
Yeah.
it's still like there's not this crazy, oh no, it's gonna destroy us all if it starts moving thing. You know what I mean? So that's the difference. That's why in the West you have Optimus Prime, Like the guy is like literally inspiration to an entire generation of men and women. It's craziness.
Yep.
And in the West, literally the same time, the year the first Transformers movie came out, in the West, what comes out? The Terminator. It's like
Yeah.
it's like what is going on? It's like completely different ideas.
Yep.
It's so crazy. And
So
yeah,
evil.
yeah. So even the only time like in Japan, in Japanese media, that I saw that had some kind of the robots will destroy us all kind of thing was with like Bubblegum Crisis and Gal Force. Those two shows. I don't know of any beyond that have that idea. Not off the top of my head, at least. You know. So yeah, I mean, it was a big rant, but whatever. But you know what I mean? It's like this is a funny thing because in the West, people just think it's completely logical that you make a robot. Of course, it's gonna kill us. I mean, what else is it gonna do? You know what I mean? It's like, well, what are you
Mhm.
talking about? Of course, it's gonna kill us all, the robots. And it's like, why? you know, I mean, you have
Yep.
the Asimov thing with the three laws and iRobot, and then because of the three laws, the robot gets confused and blah blah. You have HAL 9000 in thing because of the contradiction in the orders he gets confused and starts killing these robots. Why is it like they get confused and then they start killing? Why do
Oh,
they have to start killing? Because they're confused.
what? Yeah, but wait, before we go on to that answer, uh, we were we were yesterday inside a Asian supermarket with a robot. We surrounded that robot, a
Oh
vacuum
yeah,
cleaner, by the way. We
yeah,
surrounded that robot.
yeah,
What did he do? He just stopped. He was like, "No, I'm surrounded. Okay,
yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm
stop. I
surrounded.
do nothing."
And then started saying, please watch out. I'm vacuum cleaning or something like that. It said, and oh, please watch out.
Yeah, so polite, so polite. How is he going to kill us?
I don't know. Run you over? I have no idea. It's like it's like yeah. I mean, modern robots. There's no way. Not that we've talked about this before already in earlier episodes. There's no way they're gonna kill anybody. It's like whatever. What are you talking about? But the stories are still there, and it's like constantly there. And this idea also kind of translates into Japanese media, where you start looking at other things like the girlfriend from another world idea. It's also similar to robotics, in that it's well, actually, even a lot of the girlfriends from another world are robots. The other world could be just a world of robotics, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, girl from another world. That sounds really something that we should discuss in the next episode.
Yeah, exactly. We should this we've talked about it before but just in passing. We never did a deep dive on that idea before. But I mean, like, if you look at like the latest Girl from Another World anime that I saw, I forgot the name. It was on the winter season, last winter season, 2025, I think, or maybe it was the
I don't
fall
know.
season, 2024. I forgot the name. I'll put it up so you guys can see what it is. But that's like the most wholesome thing you can think of. It's so sweet. The robot is so nice.
Oh, Spy Family. Oh,
No, not Spy Family. They don't have robots
oh,
there. No, they don't have a robot there. No, it was in the same. It was, I think, it was in the same season though. But the robot is so sweet and so nice. Everything is great. Everything is whatever, and it's like that's it. It's literally the guy. The guy is living with a robot. That's it. There's nothing else. Nothing less. That's it. Recently, there was a movie in the theaters here from the USA. I think the movie's called Companion, and it's kind of the same thing. Robot girlfriend. But guess what happens? This one goes haywire, tries to kill everybody. I'm like, wow, oh great, oh, amazing. Like, what the freak? What do you mean? It's like, yeah, it's the dumbest thing when you kind of like notice a pattern. When you see it, it's like, okay, I see it now. I see like every single time they do this shit. It's like so dumb.
yeah. So, dear listeners and viewers, if you want to get more fans of being of about robots and stuff, you should like watch more Japanese media about robots,
Yeah,
and then you'll understand why
yeah.
they're so cool, especially for Metabots.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the West has become a bit better with it lately. Like, for example, in the Interstellar, the robot there was just awesome. It was just a friend of the guy. It was awesome. You know, Tars. I think it was Tars. So they call it. You know, the blocky robot in Interstellar, the square robot.
Oh, and Wally, of course,
Oh yeah, Wally. Of course, Wally. Yeah, exactly. Wally saved humanity.
which is a very good, yeah, which is a very good movie.
Yeah, that Wally's impressive because it's like a reverse thing. It saved humanity, from another
That's
robot, by the
it's
way. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's
Exactly.
like another robot was saying so. But also you have like in Moon. You know the movie Moon?
Oh,
Yeah, well, it's a guy on the moon base or something like that, blah blah. But the robot there, played by Kevin Spacey. Wow, that's kind of these days kind of he's kind of canceled, but whatever. But Moon was also one of those robots where the robot is a buddy and it's not this whatever trying going out to kill you. You know what I mean? That's pretty fun. And
mm.
also in Andor, Rogue One, Andor from Star Wars,
Oh
the
yeah,
KS robot, also a buddy, also fun. Yeah, and of course C-3PO, R2-D2.
yeah,
Star Wars is
yeah,
one of the few franchises where robots were at least neutral. Some were friends, some were enemies, but there wasn't like this whole robots are gonna kill us all thing. That kind of stuff. You did have the Clone Wars where they were fighting all these robots, but that's a different.
right.
That's just like a war thing. It's not really what we're talking about with robot apocalypse stuff. So that's different. But Star Wars was actually one of the good ones when it comes to robot stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was pretty fan of R2D2 and C3PO as well.
Yeah.
They were
Exactly.
fun. They were
Exactly.
chill.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, dear listeners, if we forgot about any robot, the good ones or the bad ones, let us know in the comments below. And please support us by liking and subscribing. And see us in our next video. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Bye bye.